Well, we are back here on a second channel. Who would imagine? With Stream Chat in pursuit with us here. We've been neglecting this channel, and today I noticed that some of these videos got views. It's an odd viewing pattern. Three out of the 4 Naruto videos have big views. The Hana videos got nearly 2,000 views. That's more than my newest fucking scripted video. That's what Miller was talking about in chat. He was specifically talking about the fucking Wish It Happened video. So I was like, let's stop neglecting it. It's been on the back of my mind. We really should be uploading shit here. We should be doing all of our unscripted stuff over here. We need to catch up on Vinland Saga, talk about it, upload a video about it. We've got a bunch of things we need to get the second channel back up and running. So here we are. And I thought something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and something that I think would be a good little introductory thing that we could make a stream highlight of, could do a stream with, is rewatching our 3 biggest videos right before they all hit pretty big milestones. The Sopranos video is about to hit 100k. The Griffith video is maybe about to hit 200k. It's actually getting the most views continually out of any of these. It did for a second overtake the Rock and Revy video for being the most popular video on the channel. Then Rock and Revy came back, and Rock and Revy is about to hit 200,000 views. It's about 500 views away, which should happen in like 5 days at the most. Depending on when this gets uploaded, it could have already happened. And to celebrate this, and for me to remember what the fuck I say in all these videos that I made over a year ago, we should go back through it. This could act as a mini retraction. I've been doing these retraction things. I did it for my Vinland Saga video. How far do we have to scroll down? This one here, where the pinned comment is now me talking about everything I don't like about the video, updating certain points in the video and all things like that. All in the sake of the big integrity. I don't know if these videos need retractions. We're going to find out today. And maybe this can serve as some mini retractions. Maybe I can link this video on the pinned comment, just so we can give updated thoughts on these videos. Because a year or more than a year ago is a fucking long time to be talking some stupid shit like I probably was. Plus, I still get comments on all of these videos all the time. I can address some of those. Like how I constantly get author is dead comments talking about what the fuck that means. On the Griffith video, especially now that Mura has recently died. It's been a whole fucking thing. Let's see chat. Minty is now here in chat. He's shown up. Refresh Black Lagoon at 200k. Shut up, it's not. Vinland Saga anime is great. Bacon's going, no. Bacon's lying to you. He doesn't think that. I think he gives it a 6. But we gotta hurry up because we got a laptop and it needs charging. I think we're gonna do the Griffith one first because it's probably what chat knows the most about. There's probably not many Black Lagoon or Sopranos fans in chat. We probably should do it in least viewed to most viewed, but this one has it's least close to a milestone. And I was watching it last night, and that's what prompted this whole thing, because I was like, I really need to relearn what the fuck I've been saying about this. Every top comment on this video is fucking annoying, cringy, bad jokes that you idiots all liked up, so that's your fault. And there's also a lot of comments asking me why I say the author is dead in the middle part, which is supposed to reflect the fucking, I don't even know what you call it, the art philosophy. The art idea of the author being dead and disregarding what an author thinks about his own work and saying it has no more value than any other interpretation and sort of different. There's a million other things you could say about the author is dead. But people are like freaking out now that Mura has died about how I knew that he was dead in March or something. I don't know how these people are watching video essays on YouTube about anime and manga or just media in general and have never heard about the author is dead concept. But apparently they haven't. So, without further ado, I think we should start this out. Well, Mura is dead now. Chat is saying, what do you think? What's going to happen with Berserk now? We can't talk about that right now. Again, you say the author is dead instead of death of the author. People use them interchangeably. And it's not like if I said death of the author, they would fucking get it. I guess they wouldn't think I literally mean the author is dead. But whatever, it doesn't matter. Let's fucking start the video. On the old channel, one of my more popular videos... listen to the mic quality. ...was an analysis of the infamous lost chapter of Berserk, chapter 83. A chapter that was published in Young Animal magazine as each new chapter was monthly, only for Kentaro Miura to make the... Also, chat, tell me if it's too low or too high. Alright, you idiots lie sometimes and say it's too low when it's actually not high enough. It should probably be pretty high, right? It should be just as high as me. Right? Let's turn it up. Let's see if it's real loud now.
Executive decision to not include it in the later volume releases, giving it this weird standing in terms of Berserk canon. I personally love this chapter and explained why I did in the old video. The video was more recap than analysis, and I'm here now to make the point I was trying to make back then better and more precisely by once again analyzing the lost chapter.
You gotta love getting away with fucking copyrighted music. But that clipping song is great.
This chapter really is the second half.
And it's blood, get it? The eclipse is like bloody? It makes sense.
This chapter really is the second half of the second half.
And how high are you? I guess the mic quality sounds the same to me. It definitely doesn't. On low quality earphones, everything kind of sounds the same, but definitely on these beautiful Apple earpods. Well, no, AirPods are the ones without the cords. This thing has a cord. But, you can definitely tell the difference, and I can tell the difference a lot on my big headphones. But yeah. So this chapter never got better scans? True. Nah, sound is good. I'll be back for the YouTube video. Weird, ill-fitting music. Yep, it's a Kyle Entertainment video. Anne is here. Let's continue.
Previous chapter, chapter 82. As we cut away from the ongoing half of the second half of the previous chapter, chapter 82.
There's such an awkward cut between the clipping song into the Berserk OST coming up right now.
We cut away from the ongoing
atrocities
of the second half of the previous chapter, chapter 82. As we cut away from the ongoing atrocities happening during the eclipse and take a reprieve as we follow the man responsible for the carnage, Griffith, as he sinks formless down.
Reprieve is a good word.
Down an unknown abyss, having just sacrificed the band of the Hawk.
I think, because when I hear reprieve in my head, I think I'm hearing Flint say it in Black Sails, but I can't entirely remember.
In the physical realm,
I definitely haven't seen Black Sails at this point, though.
Griffith is currently being metamorphosized into Femto, as his old crippled body is being rejuvenated, which is important because everything that we see here is metaphorical. Griffith isn't actually sinking, this is all happening inside his head. We are seeing a very literal symbolic representation of Griffith as he sinks into the abyss, only to rise again at the end of chapter 83 as Femto, built fully back up, stronger than he's ever.
I don't like the weird distinction I'm making of this is metaphorical and that's important. Because it's kind of not. It's like literal in the sense that anything that happens in the eclipse is literal, where it's like weird metaphorical shit that doesn't entirely make sense is happening. So that's a weird distinction to make.
A key aesthetic element that I love about this scene is that progressively as Griffith sinks, his new body slowly comes into form. The metaphor is not lost on me, I just explained it. But
I fucking have hated that line since I recorded it. I know editing the video that I hated that line. I just explained it. It's so weirdly like defensive about a thing that nobody would say, that I missed the metaphor. I don't know why. It's awful.
His new body slowly comes into form. The metaphor is not lost on me, I just explained it, but visually it looks outstanding. Griffith as he sinks is showing the horrors of the eclipse happening congruently to his transformation. Again, if we can talk aesthetically, some of these panels are outstanding. Not only aesthetically is Miura a genius here, but he truly is an outstanding writer as well. Berserk is nearly universally praised for its all-time great writing, but I'm not talking about character writing or the development of the plot. Miura really knows how to turn a phrase. Here he describes the deaths piercing through Griffith, and it has this elegant poetic feel to it as most of the phrasing in the eclipse does. That just perfectly juxtaposes the inelegance of what's going on. Another thing this chapter is great at is characterizing Griffith after he chooses to sacrifice everybody. Miura has completely shied away from giving us Griffith's internal monologue following the eclipse, so chapter 83 really is the last time in the timeline
we're gonna say objective here and Miller's gonna freak out.
Any objective insight into what Griffith thinks. Here he is honest with himself as he realized he wished for this to happen, and that all this despair is the product of his selfish desires. But he also
I don't think the use of objective there is too different to what I think now, except it's entirely different. It doesn't make the point any different. But it's not objective, bro.
Admits that he feels nothing regarding their deaths, which is something that is reiterated upon at the Hill of Swords. As the idea of evil will explain in the coming chapters, when a human activates a Behelit, it is at their most vulnerable and at the height of their despair. Anyone driven to this state has their heart frozen, supposedly as their final tear is crystallized through the Behelit. As Behelits are actually just the final tears of the souls that use them. The teardrop falls and the face on the Behelit...
Oh, did you hear me hitting the microphone there?
is a reflection of the faces around the person, as teardrops are reflective. This all just means that Griffith is unfeeling
As teardrops are reflective, I remember thinking that was the cleverest point I'd ever made.
that use them. The teardrop falls and the face on the behelit is a reflection of the faces around the person, as teardrops are reflective. This all
Like it drops out of your face and then the tear is the reflection because it's translucent or clear, or it's clear. I don't know which translucent. There's a bunch of trans words there that start with the prefix trans. That could sound weird out of context. But I don't even know if that is a clever idea, but like the tear reflects the face screaming and that's why the face screams when you activate the behelit. Could it also be that when the tear is in the eye, that's why the face is all fucked up? Because if you looked from the perspective of the tear that hasn't come out yet, it would be looking in weird directions, reflecting this weird pattern of a face. I don't know if it goes that far.
just means that Griffith is unfeeling towards his former companions now. And it's not until his rebirth vessel is fused with Casca and Guts' demon baby that this process is undermined and Griffith realizes that inadvertently he now has feelings for Casca. But as the scene continues, Griffith continues to sink, and we are introduced to the idea of evil as a narrator. He shows Griffith the visualization of the crystallization of his last shed tear and explains that his suffering became so immense that his heart has been subsequently frozen, as we just went over. Griffith then notices the thousands of tear-like behelids rising above him, heading for the physical world, letting us know that the idea of evil is the origin of the behelids. There's so much great, interesting exposition here, and we don't get anything like
Now, this is all still part of the chapter that isn't cut. It's when he sees the idea of evil and the rest of it's cut.
ever again.
Because I think I mentioned that in this video, because the idea of evil is still technically canon, because you see it at the end of a canon chapter, but the explanation part isn't in there.
It only continues.
You can tell because this art looks a lot better.
It's very valuable
It's
because
better scan.
most of the functions of the Berserk world are still a mystery to us. We don't know anything really if you choose to disregard Chapter 83, and even with it we don't necessarily know what being a God Hand member really means. We don't know what each God Hand member wants. We don't know how they became God Hand members. We don't know who they serve. We don't know much about the functions of the Behelids. We just don't know. So this experience in Chapter 83 is a one-time, unique, insightful opportunity for Mira to reveal some of those grander guarded secrets. And supposedly Mira had second thoughts about revealing them, and that's why he ultimately decided to cut this chapter. Though it was too late. The secrets of the chapter are available online for us all to see.
Why don't I just download Adblock, bro? EVE Online, we all gotta get on the EVE Online bandwagon. That's why we didn't.
There's so much lore
Use
in the
Adblock.
chapter are available online for us all to see. There's so much lore here. Griffith questions upon first seeing the idea of evil if he is literally God, which is a uniquely humble moment for Griffith. In the face of something better than himself, something he never found in the human world, he seems trepidatious and fearful. He doesn't know if for the first time in his life someone is better or more than him. The idea of evil welcomes Griffith and specifically refers to him as a human, implying both that Griffith is still a human categorically, and that the idea of evil at least doesn't consider himself a human. They then go on again to have an incredibly interesting conversation where the idea of evil explains himself as the explanation for human suffering. All sorts of interesting concepts are discussed here as it is revealed that humans in fact created God in the Berserk world, as they yearned for an explanation for the absurdity of life. The idea of evil is the unconscious black heart of humanity. The monologue here is brilliant. The idea of evil says that people desired an
Hey, fuck you. Who's following? Kyle is objective is now following. Well, isn't that
explanation
nice?
for all the monologue here is brilliant. The idea of evil says that people desired an explanation for all the atrocities in their lives, all the atrocities they were exposed to by the world. Reasons for pain, reasons for sadness, reasons for life itself as well as death. What could possibly explain the absurdity of life? The excuse they came up with was God, and so God came to them. The idea of evil was not created to end the pain and suffering of humanity, but to explain it, which when you think about it is really the basis of most religions, explanation, not salvation. This is what humanity wants. The idea of evil couldn't create a better reality even if he wanted to, because he's beholden to humanity's will. The idea of evil also explains that he controlled and manipulated lower level humans to create the exact circumstances and merge the right bloodlines and put the right people around Griffith for him to live the exact life he has. This was all also decided in the distant past. It's interesting that Griffith's lineage is brought up here, here since we never see his parents or anybody related to him in the story. All we get are vague metaphors about his childhood. Stonehenge is also interestingly featured as a fixture in the background of the page where the idea of evil explains his manipulation of the world. Stonehenge features throughout Berserk when the demon baby warns Guts of Casca's apparent danger, forcing him out of his Black Swordsman behaviour, and in some recent chapters Griffith has used it as a fast travel system for him and his army. It seems to have some symbolic meaning to the narrative we aren't fully aware of yet. But now that we've talked about the interesting lore elements of the Lost Chapter...
I think I just had this realization now, is that, like, Stonehenge on Earth is supposed to be, like, an ancient civilization planning some shit or something, so it's, like, the plans of a distant past or something. I don't know. There was a bunch of shit I wanted to comment on there. I let it play for a pretty long while. There's a bunch of cute little lines in here, like the idea of evil being the unconscious black heart of humanity. The idea of, like, humans creating gods seems to be a big thing in anime and manga. But I'm trying to think of other examples, because I know it reminds me of something. It's not really Eva. Like, Eva has the Christian symbolism, but it's never implied that the Christian god exists. But, like, Evangelion is supposed to be God. It's supposed to become God because it's supposed to be the evidence that humanity existed. That's why it floats through space, and in the end of Evangelion, Yui gives the monologue. It's fucking incredible shit. There's something else, though. It also goes back to this idea of everybody being connected. Like, it's the joint unconscious, like, essence of bad, basically, because in every person they're connected by being bad. Oh, being bad. This is like something that's hit on a million times in Serial Experiments Lane about everybody's connected. You can't sever your connection from humanity. And they use the metaphor of the internet in that, and like electricity and things like that. A bunch of these themes here are reflected. Berserk really, and Ava does the everybody's connected thing as well. Humanity is one thing, like, if you zoom out or whatever. And that's kind of, Berserk really never goes into that too much, but it seems to maybe be implied in the background, which is all interesting. This has nothing to do with the video. The video's been largely good, I guess, so far. There's been some, the microphone quality's awful, the narration could be better. I think I've gotten a little better at that. There's no super eye patch wolf intro in this video, I must say. I don't know, I probably shouldn't be talking about Berserk here. I should probably be talking about the video. I don't want to re-chat until afterwards, because I'll get sidetracked and it'll take too long.
If we aren't fully aware of yet. But now that we've talked about the interesting lore elements of the Lost Chapter, let's talk about the characterization of Griffith here, and why this chapter so entirely epitomizes everything Griffith is to me. There's 3 moments of characterization for Griffith I'd like to highlight. There's one moment earlier on in the chapter where Griffith is still being caught off guard by everything that's going on, and he's questioning whether or not the idea of evil is truly God. The idea of evil gives the explanation that humans created God, and they both reflect on the hellscape surrounding them that the idea lives inside, and revel in the fact that it feels terrible.
I always like this one panel. It makes him look like a tentacle monster or something.
Surrounding them that the idea lives inside, and revel in the fact that it feels terribly human. Miura is really good with his words here, as the simple phrasing here adds to the understandability. Deep inside, even the audience knows that humanity is capable of terrible things. This is what most art is about, and the simple phrase captures the feeling here perfectly. Not to mention that as an audience member, you're more vulnerable to the idea because of the abject atrocities going on in the very preceding pages of this moment. The idea of evil describes it as hell, but terribly human. And Griffith responds with the admittedly impeccably cool "I can feel it" line, where he admits that just like every human, this realm, this hell, is a part of him. But the telling bit of characterization here is, again, that Griffith revels in the negative feelings here. It's almost like a moment of adrenaline for him, as he gives in to these feelings, and the gravitas of this feeling is felt in this picture of his almost fully formed hand in front of his almost fully formed face, explaining that he can feel it. But the second bit of characterization of Griffith here that is remarkable...
Look at that cheap little transition. That's just another default option, but it wasn't a crossfade.
...is the titular "I want wings" line. But you must fully understand the build up to this moment to understand why it works so well in encapsulating why we hate Griffith so much. Griffith, now understanding the monumentality of this encounter, forgoes his self-importance and asks God what he wants from him, thinking that either he now wants to serve something greater than himself, or he's going to be forced to anyway, so he might as well ask for orders. But the idea of evil simply responds, telling him to do as he will, validating everything Griffith believes about himself. Griffith, confronted by God himself, is told to make his own decisions, and that whatever he wills, God wills as well. Griffith has always been extremely self-important, and this moment here, at his most vulnerable, solidifies forever in his mind that he is the most important entity in existence, and whatever he envisions is the right path. Basically, this heightens Griffith's unbridled arrogance. And now, after learning the complexities of the undercurrent of the entire Berserk universe. Learning the truth about humanity's collective consciousness, and meeting God himself who validates him entirely, Griffith concludes that if so, he wants wings. This is such a viscerally human response after learning the complexities of the universe, and displays Griffith's aforementioned arrogance. And it's absolutely captivating.
Do I mention the childish aspect here? Because that's like the second part that makes it so good.
The juxtaposition here works so unbelievably well, creating both disgust and
I like using this track from the movies here too.
Understanding. Something about this request is relatable while simultaneously making you so angry, especially knowing what comes next. This moment to me is only aptly described as incredibly Griffith. There's something indescribably palpable about this moment, and some of that credit must be given to the art. The progressive materialization of Griffith throughout.
It's a very weird phrasing, like reluctantly I have to say that the art did something here.
And some of that credit must be given to the art. The progressive materialization of Griffith throughout the scene is finalized here. Griffith is whole again, and his first line is, "I want wings." The look of determination and assuredness here depicts what Griffith would become.
Dead eyes too.
Come in the following chapters perfectly. And I want to kill this man with every fiber of my being, but it's so undeniably exhilarating from his perspective. He just got the ultimate validation and now has the ultimate power to actualize anything. It's this combination of frustration, hate, and magnificence that makes Griffith the enigma that he is, as well as the childishness that's always been a part of
I do mention the childishness.
Griffith. Wanting to fly, wanting wings is such an earthly, childish desire, and Griffith asks for it here when he could have asked for anything. I want
Calling
wings
it an earthly desire? Have I gotten worse at descriptive writing?
is the representation of why we hate Griffith in a single phrase. And then the chapter ends as the newly formed Femto rises from the abyss the formless Griffith had just sunk from, ready to act as he wills. But the third fantastic characterization moment for Griffith in this chapter is the metatextual mindfuck that the idea of evil represents. The ultimate irony of this scene is that Kentaro Miura literally is the real-life equivalent of the idea of evil. In the story, the idea of evil controls destiny, but in a more
just giving the consumers what they want. I don't even think I say that point here, but that's actually pretty clever.
literal
Pretty clever, you know.
sense, Kentaro Miura controls the destiny of the world of Berserk. He writes the series, he controls the idea of evil, so much so that he cut him from canon. Earlier in the eclipse, there's a weird moment where Miura leans on the fourth wall with Gaston. Right before Gaston is killed in quite a brutal way, he explains to Guts that he was only a minor character in a grander narrative. Miura in quick succession makes two appeals to the fourth wall, and I think this might be the most interesting read of this scene. This chapter is Griffith effectively talking to his own author, and his own author validates him. It's an even more incredible moment when you think about it that way. There's just so much going on here.
Did I sniffle at the beginning of that line?
This chapter has so much to add to the lore of Berserk and Griffith as a character, and it's a monumental shame to me that Miura had second thoughts about including this chapter.
I don't like this conclusion part about me saying that, oh, he's an idiot for cutting it. Like, we still have it, I don't give a fuck.
In his canon, but it exists and the author is dead, so I enjoy chapter 83 of Berserk.
Well, I guess I undercut the point there anyway, so that was good.
And treat it as canon regardless. Support my work.
That's actually interesting. Now I like all the author is dead comments because it proves that they watched the whole video because it's the closing line. I'd completely forgotten that.
Work on Patreon, follow me on Twitter, check out the Twitch channel, come argue with me there. Subscribe for more Berserk content and leave a comment about anything I said in the video. Support links in the description below.
Follow me on Twitter. Come argue in Twitch chat.
Thanks.
That video was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I wonder if chat liked it or not. I thought it was going to be a lot more cringy. Kyle Ever has all of his things deleted, so I assume he got banned. Let me scroll up. I gotta read through chat and I gotta make it quick because we got some other videos to watch. Mr. R, I'm seeing, is here. I kind of want to read all this bullshit. Refresh, Black Lagoon at 200k. I remember reading that. What did I miss? Does your elbow taste like mint? Hilarious. What do you think? What's gonna happen to Berserk now? Well, Mira is dead now again because you say that. I read all this stuff. The author is literally dead now. Yes, Bacon. I've heard it from you. I've only heard it from you, the death of the author. There's no way it's possible. Kyle doing the early morning stream. Oh, the early evening stream. The mic quality sounds the same to me. Hi, Lei-chan. The Pepe meme is the best example of the author is dead. Unironically true. And how high are you? Nah, volume is good. Minty, can I have a taste? Nah, it sound good. Say this chapter never got better scans. I read a little bit of this all throughout. Weird, ill-fitting music. Yep, it's... Fuck me. How many of this did I already read? Where can I read Berserk? Miller's linking shit. Illegal streams. Embarrassing. Frankly immoral. Nah, Miller's fast. Look at those dick-sucking lips. First page of Berserk is sex. That's true. Funny, you use objective there when you're objectively wrong about that point. Wait, what was the point? That it's the last... Yeah, that's also true. Well, I'm not objectively wrong, but I am subjectively wrong. I definitely was wrong about that, because you do get Griffith internal monologue later. I even show a panel in the video. Those are some cool-looking panels. They are pretty good. Cringe. This stuff about Behelit Tears isn't from the cut chapter, right? Nope. Because it's even in the 97 anime. You thought that was clever. Minty is mean. Translucent is in between transparent and opaque. Opaque means you can't see through it. Transparent means you can see through it. So it is transparent, right? Because you can see through tears. Assuming, unless they're weirdly colored, like blood tears, like the Behelit, then they would be opaque because you can't see through that shit. It doesn't matter. Should be banned, JK. Little did he know that Kyle advocated for his ban himself. Account created 39 minutes ago, following since 38 minutes ago. Now. Too much recap and you're not even up to the chapter yet. I mean, the recap, it's all about, the video is almost entirely recap. But, again, I talked to Miller about this, I think, before. Or was it Minty? I don't know. About recap maybe not being a bad thing, and maybe we shouldn't label recap like this as a bad thing, because you have to do it to get to the point. You can't just abstractly comment on little details because the audience probably doesn't remember it or certain things like that. So I like how the recap is handled in the video, though at about 5 minutes in I was getting a little bored. So the video is only 12 minutes long, so I think it was pretty good. The recap, at least. I kind of expected it, honestly. Well, actually, no, he doesn't have the most recount. At least the same amount of recounts that he defends. Download ad block. Unironically, I hear good stuff about Eve. Eve Online, I think. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good stuff about Eve Online. I've heard some weird old stories about the old Eve Online. I think from Destiny, so... what's going on with all the users with Kyle and their names? People just woke up and chose violence, and this was a good video. JP is here. I think JP is dead in the Nuzlocke. I was going to say, I think he's one of the surviving Pokemon. The Nuzlocke is still on mini hiatus. We will come back with it. Minty, I expect you will continue the argument after these dots, right? They're Kylo Ren fans. It is Ava. Stonehenge is immovable like causality. That's what but they do move it, right? Like Griffith picks it up and moves it. Maybe that represents him moving causality, but maybe. I was about to say Ritsuko literally says mankind created God in their own image or something. Yeah, but that's Ava, right? But yeah, I guess that it is an Ava then. Persona 5 and the Holy Grail. I think it's a Kingdom Hearts meme too. Like it's in a bunch of things like that. How can you say you are bad and you deserve to be punished? I don't think that was the tone Minty wanted, but fuck him. I think there's some weird philosophical argument that advocates the ideas of humans creating God, and yet I can't still find it anywhere no matter how much I search. You can never sever your connection from humanity, then explain this then. What is Miller linking? I have to click on it, because I click on all the links this idiot sends. Year in review, why I left the human community. I don't know what the fuck he just linked. Some Cthulhu, is that how you say that? I know Cthulhu was a thing, but I don't know if that's how you spell Cthulhu or whatever shit there. Is it weird praising specifically Mura for English words he didn't write? Well, how else can you do it? The translator, they are words he wrote, just translated and abstracted a little bit. I think it's good to give him credit. I brought this up and Kylie said death of the author, so the specific English translation is the definite version. Well, nothing would be the definite version, right? But actually, this is good because I've gone away from referencing the author at all, and I usually just say the narrative, which would be better. I don't know, that would be really awkward to praise the writing there as the narrative. But I think translations roughly, like, to translate that, it has to be something, and then I don't think it changes, because translators do this all the time, and sometimes they do fuck this up, so it is brought up. From like a poetic line has to be translated into a poetic line. It's about the translator's understandability to switch it up like that. And it comes through all the time. But yeah, I think it is. I think that's fine. I don't think languages are that different. I think they're more idiosyncratically different than like largely different. But I'm not a fucking linguist, so leave me alone. Like, you can praise it, but it's weird using Mura's name when he's only part of it. Also, translators also contribute to the words. Kyle confuses himself. Feels like something people would say to a fan translation or something better. Is this going to be another Kyle account? Minty, stop banning me. Well, there you go. It's not about me anymore, it's all about Minty. He's a fucking glory hog, this fella. Kind of weird saying something is indescribable in a video essay, like you're meant to describe it, that's the point. I don't think I meant indescribably literally, Miller, but okay. The visual component of my extra sensory experience. A secondary character that died, aware of his role, cool. Remember late in Berserk when the Skull Knight starts making metaphors about how to defeat Griffith, you have to defeat the author or something? He does do that. But that's Ava, right? Minty's doing question marks. I don't know what that's about. I missed my evolution and death, but saw the VOD. Well, that's good. Someone stopped me from attacking Kyle. Understandability. Talk in chat, I dare you, fucker. That was pretty funny. So overall, I think that video is fine. I'm glad it gets a bunch of views. I'm not too embarrassed by it. Now, this one might be different, though. And this one might be even different, though. These videos all came out, like, quickly after each other. We were on a roll. We were popping out hit after hit, as the Soprano fans would say. Oh, I sort of did a retraction here where I just doubled down on calling everybody a bunch of dumb fucks. I have not got ratioed yet. I hate that somebody commented this as if it's not, like, implied by the entire video. I'm making it more specific in the Sopranos script I'm working on right now, though. No Sopranos fans in chat, I'm assuming, so I hope everybody sticks around and has a lot of fun. You know that one scene in Death Note where Misa is watching all the security cameras with a pen in hand, waiting for Nia to exit the building so she can write down his name? I feel like that's me watching the band lose the talk in chat. Well, before this video hits 100,000, let's see if it's any good. I'm very curious because I feel like my opinions have changed wildly a little bit. A little bit wildly, sort of a contradiction. But after all, sometimes everybody's a hypocrite. Sometimes we're all hypocrites. Let's fucking watch the Sopranos video.
On the old channel, before the copyright...
All of these videos all of them start with on the old channel. Just so everybody gives me the pity I deserve. For 9 months of work being flushed down the drain, never to return, for me to have to work a whole nother year nearly to get back to where I started. Fuck me. I can't believe that happened, though I'm also glad because that means a whole slew of older videos than this, which much more dumber points than this, are never to be seen again. But this one will probably start with, on the old channel I did this series. So, on the old channel. That's my fucking catchphrase now.
On the old channel, before the copyright police got it, I made a video about this scene.
Oh, I did too. It was like 30 minutes and probably better. And it was like one of the more popular videos, and I liked that it was popular because it was a Sopranos video. I remember editing it outside on a laptop while it was raining, and it was really cool. That atmosphere was fun. It was like late at night. My life was still ahead of me back then. It was 2019, or maybe the end of 2018. Good times.
Season 3 ending Core and Grata scene, or it was more of an episode analysis than a scene analysis.
Core and Grata. I'm sure I'm saying that correctly.
But I think I can make that point better now and more concisely, because I think this scene is one of, if not the best scene in this show, which just happens to be my
in this show. I don't know if I would stand by that now.
TV show of all time.
And the best TV show of all time.
show.
Now, that's a factually incorrect statement, because we would have just started Mad Men at this time. Probably finished it. I think I finished it in January. So at this point, I still thought it was better than Mad Men. Embarrassing, frankly. Can we get some Mad Men in chat? Minty?
Which just happens to be my favorite TV show of all time. The Sopranos is almost hypocritical from its conceit. We are positioned as the audience to root for Tony Soprano and his friends when they aren't working against him, when their actions, by the moral standards of most of the audience, are reprehensible. This immorality is not lost.
This is the worst video I do of like the crossfades with the cutting, like the scene that's crossfading out cuts to a different scene. So it's really distracting and it's bad, and it's something I think like 6 months ago or something I started really making sure it doesn't happen. Like, I had to make sure it didn't happen in the most recent I Wish It Happened video. Like, it took me like an hour to make sure that doesn't happen.
Just on the audience, at least hopefully. Of the
Of,
audience
like,
are reprehensible.
As it fades out, look, the scene like cut to something else of the scene that's fading out. Oh no, the scene that's fading in cut from something else to what I wanted to show. And I used to think that you had to do a crossfade on everything. I don't know why. You can just do a normal cut and this all gets rid of this problem. Weird behind the scenes thing nobody cares
This
about.
immorality is not lost on the audience, at least hopefully. It might actually be the show's most basic triumph. This idea of
And also the crossfades are too quick. There's nothing on screen for long enough for you to realize what's happening. But it's basically because I'm not really talking about anything specific this early. Another new follower. I'm sure this is going to be a fun troll. Minty is my best friend. That's surely going to get him not banned.
And the institutions they inhabit being inherently immoral might be the most interesting and most influential thing about The Sopranos. Breaking Bad and Mad Men, two shows that by all accounts are also in the greatest of all time discussion, revel in this same hypocrisy, as does obviously The Godfather before them. The Godfather obviously influenced The Sopranos as The Sopranos has influenced Mad Men and Breaking Bad. But there seems to be
What a weird, unnecessary, I don't like this at all. Because this is just a talking point I'm repeating about how The Sopranos changed television, which I assume is true. I don't know shit about television really generally, so I could never know if it was true personally. But it's just the immorality, not really the hypocrisy. But it's sort of the hypocrisy of I'm talking about the hypocrisy of being positioned behind these characters while they do bad things, and sort of the normal conventions of storytelling that position you to root for somebody, acting in opposition to what's right, and you sort of being forced to go with it because you're a dumb viewer, right? That's the whole point. So I guess it is hypocrisy more than immorality. But I talk about how The Godfather influenced this. This is obviously just a central conceit of mafia stories. The mafia stories don't usually portray the mafia as being good, but whatever.
A fascination with the inherently hypocritical. Probably because as human beings we are bound to be hypocritical. It's something innate to the...
See, I even reference it. I show Meadow and then I say that line. But whatever. Somebody in the comments felt the need to fucking point it out as a cope.
Critical. Probably because as human beings we are bound to be hypocritical. It's something innate to the human experience, and rooting for Tony Soprano over more morally virtuous characters like the FBI who chase after him season after season.
I love how there's so many comments on this video about how the morality of the FBI, it's comparable. This weird conspiratorial the FBI does bad things, which of course they do. These are little mobsters that kill each other constantly. It's just ugh, what an edgy fucking online statement to make.
It's something that seemingly we can't help but do.
FBI stopping the mob would be of a benefit to society. It's not like they're fucking with. It's not like they're the CIA fucking with external affairs. What do you call it? International affairs, geopolitics, or whatever the fuck. Disabling countries. I'm sure that was another great new follower. But yeah, stupid.
Whatever
comments.
reason, we relate to Tony Soprano when we know we shouldn't. But all this is achieved through positioning. Tony Soprano is our protagonist, and by conventional context, that means he's the good guy. That means we root for him no matter what he does or who he kills. It's Tony. We understand and we like Tony. But he is a bad guy. But we forgive him because we are positioned to like him by the show. But when the show decides to play with this line of hypocrisy, that's when it's at its best. And the character that is mostly used to show some self-awareness of the hypocrisy going on in the show is Meadow Soprano, Tony's daughter. The way Meadow is used to highlight the hypocrisy in the show and in Tony is what makes this scene so special and outstanding. This, as I said, is the final scene in the season finale of season 3 of The Sopranos. After Jackie Jr.'s wake, everyone heads to Artie's restaurant.
God, the crossfading is fucking atrocious. I hate it.
To continue the mourning process. At least that's what they're supposed to be doing. Junior ends up singing an old Italian song, Cor Ingrata, or Ungrateful Heart when translated, and the cast has this moment of humanity and emotion hearing the beautiful rendition of this song as the season comes to a close. There's a whole separate video I could write about how the lyrics Junior sings here are symbolically representative of him as a character, but we won't get into that here. This moment of...
There's not. It's like the song is about somebody being unloved or a woman not loving them, and it kind of plays into Junior never getting married. That's the only thing in the fucking song lyrics translated.
Togetherness is heartwarming. The entire cast nearly is here, and they are unified listening to a nostalgic song that reminds them of their culture and heritage as Italians. Sang beautifully and vulnerably by Junior, a man who does not usually embody those characteristics. But this moment threatens to be ruined because of Meadow. While the performance is happening, Meadow, who's drunk and depressed, for reasons we'll get into in a second, starts throwing bread at Junior, trying to disrupt the performance. It doesn't work because Tony notices and chases her out of the restaurant, but this moment here and this conflict is emblematic of the inherent hypocrisy this show thrives on, and it's so brilliant. This is a moment nearly all Soprano fans look back on with affection. Johnny Sack crying is a sight, and it really demonstrates the cultural weight this performance has on the Italian characters, even to an Australian teenager with no cultural reference point for any of this context. But this moment deserves to be ruined. This scene is disgustingly hypocritical. These people, our characters, are antithetical not only to the theme they are indulging in through this performance, but to the Italian-American experience. Don't forget, this is Jackie Jr.'s funeral, where they are supposed to be gathered to pay their respects to the boy, but they are the ones that killed him. Not in a symbolic way where them exposing him to this lifestyle ended up killing him too soon, but in a very literal way. Tony and Ralph ordered the murder of this child. Yet here at his funeral, they want to indulge in this moment of melancholy and camaraderie, and chastise Meadow for being upset when she's the only one actually at the funeral that cared about Jackie Jr. Jackie Jr. was killed by Vito on orders from Ralph, who was Jackie Jr.'s stepfather, on orders of Tony, who was best friends with Jackie Jr.'s father. They were supposed to be there for him, but they weren't. They killed him, and now they want to have this moment at what's supposed to be his funeral. And Meadow saw this hypocrisy and lashed out, completely justifiably. But not only does everyone around her think she's the annoying one ruining this lovely moment, but the audience does as well. All because of positioning. We feel this moment, and Meadow threatens to ruin this moment. Therefore, Tony is the protagonist, the good guy, stopping her from ruining it, even though she's completely justified in her anger. Meadow and Jackie Jr.'s romance was most of Meadow's story in Season 3. They were childhood friends who reconnected in college and got together. Even though they broke up right before he died because she caught him with another girl, she still cared about him. She's the only one at Artie's restaurant who cared about him. She's the only one there actually grieving. Everyone else there is literally responsible for him being dead, which is something Meadow is told by Jackie Jr.'s sister earlier in the episode, who seems to be more cynical and self-aware than even Meadow. Now, Meadow initially rejects this, not knowing any better, but it clearly plays in her mind for the rest of the episode, as by the final scene here, she seems to have accepted it, and that's why she lashes out. This is a narrative through line for Meadow throughout the series. She stands on a tightrope, sometimes hating and wanting to get away from her family because of their mafia connections, and other times finding herself defending them outright and playing into their hypocrisy. Meadow is a smart girl. She figured out at a young age without being told that her father was in the mafia. One of the most famous scenes in the show is her frankly confronting her father in the first season, just asking him if he's in the mafia. This scene is a great example of her rejecting her family, but at times she finds herself defending them even after this scene takes place canonically, as well as risking going down the same path as her mother, becoming a mob wife. Meadow dates Jackie Jr. as he tries to make a name for himself in the mob, and there's a notable scene in a later season where she defends her family's practices to one of her boyfriends, Finn, when he airs his frustrations about being around them. And ultimately, come the end of the series, she is dating Pat Parisi's son, who's already getting into mob-related trouble.
Now, that is not true. We let that play for a little while. One of his sons is in mob-related stuff, but it's the one that hangs out with AJ and not Meadow. I also get a shit ton of comments talking about that, but I guess that's okay, because I was wrong. Subjectively, of course.
This is an internal conflict with Meadow's character throughout the show, whether she can reject her family and her heritage and forge her own path and become a professional woman like Melfi, as Tony puts it, or if she'll go down the same path as her mother and become another mob wife. And this internal conflict also manifests in this scene. Meadow is drunk here, and through the performance she starts throwing bread at Junior, like I said, which Tony notices and gets angry at for potentially ruining this moment. He takes her outside and they have a confrontation where she only says one thing. Meadow just yells, "This is such bullshit," before running across a very busy street into ongoing traffic. She doesn't get hit, but she also doesn't care. But like I said, also, the most
I think that's the only line of audio I use from the
interesting
show
part of all this is the positioning of the characters here. We are positioned to feel the weight of this performance, and we get frustrated with Meadow for being rude and interrupting it. This even plays out in the comment section of this scene posted on YouTube. There are comments everywhere shitting on Meadow here, like this one. This is one of the few times in the show I hated Meadow even more than AJ. This comment has more than 200 likes, and it's amazing to me how so many people could stupidly miss the point. Meadow...
God, I'm glad I'm trying to get away from making whole videos responding to annoying comments.
Is the sympathetic one here.
God, that was all of our videos. That was like most of the Attack on Titan videos I made was about stupid comments I would see.
As these monsters responsible for killing her friend celebrate and sing on his grave, acting like this absurd hypocrisy isn't inherent, when it absolutely is. In reality, this is all such bullshit. But that's The Sopranos. Everything is so complicated and hypocritical, even Meadow is hypocritical as she goes on to contradict her frustrations with her family in this scene when she defends her family later on in the series. Again, everyone is hypocritical. But that's why I love this scene so much. The subtle way the show portrays her frustration with everything I just said by having her get drunk, lash out at the hypocritical celebration, then scream at her father about this all being bullshit is cathartic if you actually think about it. She's the only one that really cares while all these idiots sit inside and cry to themselves about the old country or some bullshit that never actually existed. The fact that these mobsters don't feel like they've disgraced their heritage by becoming what they have become, and the fact that they all can enjoy this moment is absurdly hypocritical. But still, you find yourself right along with them, probably singing along, because you're also a hypocrite. Meadow is right in all her actions here, but still, we side with Tony, and what does that say about us? Support my work and influence me to do more work like this by checking out my Patreon.
I'm gonna let that ad play out so I get some fucking money. I don't know how most of the comments exist with the last bit of that video there, where I talk about how the point is that even though Meadow is entirely right and obviously right in this scene, that you end up still siding with Tony because you have the same appetite as him, you have the same, your position behind him, you have the same, what word am I looking for here? You have the same values as him or something. But yeah, the comments on this video are real dumb. Except for this one. Holy crap, can you make more of these? I'm sure. I get some good comments on this video. Some nice comments rather, and maybe not good. That video was fine. There's some awkward bits, but there were some awkward bits in the first video. The overall point is good. There's some little fuck-ups here and there. The editing is absolutely dreadful. But I don't know, I don't think I should be too concerned about this one getting very popular, especially when I'm coming out with another Sopranos video here soon. That'll clear up a bunch of things. I don't know if the chat gave a fuck about that. We're still on 10 viewers, so that seems to be alright. But, Sopranos is interesting and good. This one's only 24 minutes. I forget how long this video is sometimes. Let me read through chat real quickly. I'm sure there wasn't really a lot to say because nobody knows anything about the Sopranos. Depends, those Italian names that can ratio whatever you want. Anne is Italian, so I wonder if she had anything to say about any of that. Anybody seen Narcos here? I have not. I think that's my favorite show from current times. You hadn't even seen Mad Men at this point, let alone Breaking Bad. I had seen Mad Men at this point. But that's just something that's said all the time. I probably shouldn't have said it. Not only because I don't know if it's true, but also it just doesn't really make sense in the video. I don't like doing that referencing thing at the beginning. I used to do that in all my videos. I don't like that anymore. But, I mean, it's pretty true. Nobody in the comments was like, actually, that's not true. So I think it's fine. On a factual basis. I saw Breaking Bad's right. I got a dip. Got to get ready for work. Catch you later. Mr. R is leaving. I really liked it, but I guess I'm more into based on a true story kind of films. What Your Lives? Galuki is here. Go over the comments once you finish the vidlog, Kyle. I have a queue of like 13 YouTube videos and open tabs and start when you started streaming. Can you get to the stuff or end stream so I can get to them? Minty, you're going to have to take control of your own life. I think I remember some bad stuff in this last video. It is the oldest of them. I'll have something to say about it when I watch it, lol. Sopranos or Breaking Bad? Well, I've only seen Sopranos, so... Carl going to have to turn off the notifications to stop giving this brat attention. I don't know. I'm getting followers from it, I guess. This video has all good comments. I don't even think there's a singular bad comment. Let's just get into the most popular video I ever made, about to hit 200,000. Let's see. There is the fucking weird anecdote part in the middle. Alright, let's go. Good music tie-in. That AMV will never die. It gets re-uploaded every once in a while. The Problems AMV about Black Lagoon. I wonder if I'll talk about that in the music video. I think that song has 4 stars on my iTunes, not 5. Though it might be a 5-star song depending on my mood. Problems by Black is a fucking great song. And it's like intrinsically tied to Black Lagoon for me because of that one AMV that I really like. And that's the reference here, and that's why the intro beat of it opens the video. So we're already off to a good start. Oh, this video is the weird, awkward... I forced my top 5 anime into the beginning of the video, so of course it's what a lot of the comments are about. Like, Ava and Black Lagoon? That's pretty good taste you have, bro. The top 5 here is kind of... I mean, the top 3 is still the same. I haven't rewatched Lane in so long that I don't know what I think about it, and Steins Gate is in 5. I'd probably put Naruto at like 4 or 5, I think now. But...
It bewilders me to this day how much better Black Lagoon is than every other anime.
Oh no.
This is my top 5 anime, and I
don't know about that one anymore, Chief. We're looking at Neon Genesis over here, and we're looking pretty good. Also, Pokemon might be in the top 5 now. It's a 10 out of 10.
love Evangelion, and I love...
But this is just an edgy, like, I know a lot of people make fun of me for... Not make fun of me, but question me for having Black Lagoon as my favorite anime, so it's just come out as harsh as possible about how good it is. Plus, I think that's the whole point of this video, right? Is to show up. So starting off with a harsh optics win like that is really good.
Cowboy
I think I say the gap between Ava and Black Lagoon is, like, massive in this video. Yikes.
Bebop to death. Their density and girth of things to say is unrivaled in anime.
Am I talking about Bebop and Ava here when I talk about the girth?
And I love Cowboy Bebop to death. Their density and girth of things to say is unrivaled in anime. But even with their thematic density and overall quality...
Oh, that music transition is bad. I just wanted to play the intro part of that OST because it's so good, the Roberta OST. But it comes out of weird nowhere and it just cuts off the song. Just like in the Griffith video where there's the weird transition at the beginning. I have to let this play because the laptop's going to go dead soon and we have to get through this shit. But let's keep going.
They don't even hold
Let's listen to the music transition again, how bad it is.
Anime. But even with their thematic density and overall quality, they don't even hold a candle to Black Lagoon to me. And if
Not
you
even
think
a
this is
candle.
all about action, you're a complete fool. Because Rock and Revy are the best anime relationship. I've written over 50,000 words about this relationship. I accumulated what I thought were all of my thoughts into a 4-part video series here on YouTube, 2 of which are still available to view on my channel, but here I am in the same year, coming back because there's more to say. Black Lagoon is the greatest anime of all time because Rock and Revy's relationship is the best anime relationship. And Rock and
crossfading shit is bad here too.
Revy is the best anime relationship because of Black Lagoon's unmatched character writing. The sheer number of layers of subtext there is between these two is almost too immense to comprehend, because you have to incorporate everything that Revy is and then clash it with everything that Rock is, and seeing them collide is the magic this series stands on. But the heart of this relationship...
You stand on magic?
Before we get into the thematic...
Some of the writing here has been a little shoddy, like... What did I just say? Like it's incomprehensible or something? I know about that.
This series stands on. But the heart of this relationship, before we get into the thematic writing of the characters, is how they interact. The dub is essential to the quality of their interactions. You must, and I mean must, watch Black Lagoon dubbed, because everything I talk about in this video only works because of the quality of the changed dub-specific script. Because dialogue to me is the number one thing I look for in media. My favorite TV...
This is not true anymore. Also, I showed the Balalaika and Shang scene that I wasn't too fond of about 3 weeks ago when I rewatched it.
Show of all time, Black Lagoon included, is The Sopranos. My favorite film of all time is either The Godfather Part 1 or Part 2, and my favorite video...
Before Part 2 had come out.
Game of all time is The Last of Us.
Again, this is the shit that I don't like. I remember doing this a lot when I first began the channel, just to sort of try and say everything I had to say in like random videos where it didn't make sense. Like shoehorning my top 5 at the beginning here was just because it was probably the first time I wasn't streaming at this point, so it was probably the first time I ever mentioned most of those other shows, just to show like these are my favorite series. And again here, it's just to go through and be like, you know, The Sopranos, bro, that's pretty cool. You know, Last of Us 1 at this point, where it's fucking 6 months before the game comes out. Yeah, it's pretty cool, bro. Wait, were we streaming by this point? We were. Because we started streaming in October of 2019, right? But it doesn't matter. It's still... The point still stands. I was just trying to shoehorn as much bullshit into it as possible.
Thing that all of these
this dialogue point was like... Dialogue was the first thing I ever found myself noticing. So when dialogue sounded off, it was the only way I could tell if something was good or bad when I was 13. Because I remember watching reviews of movies when I was 12, and I could never figure out why somebody would say something was bad and something was good, because everything was just good to me. So I was trying to force myself to realize what being good and being bad was. I was trying to get on that layer 2. I was on layer 1 trying to get to layer 2.
Dylan is their collective great dialogue. The Sopranos has the best dialogue I've ever heard on TV. The Godfather...
It's not even dialogue in The Sopranos. It's delivery and performance. Same with The Godfather. The Godfather literally created a bunch of phrases that everybody still uses today. The line, specifically the way you say it in being keep your friends close but your enemies closer comes from it. It's a reference to one of the old Greek things, but it isn't said in quite the same way. There's a bunch of other things from that. So and Mad Men, I would say, probably has the best dialogue writing because it's so dense I've ever seen. No, probably Black Sails has it. But again, I'm confusing dialogue with delivery and performance here.
Father has the best dialogue I've ever heard in film, and The Last of Us has the best dialogue.
I'm confident, though, once we get through this shit, this video is pretty good when we actually talk about Rock and Revy. Another new film.
And again,
gotta love it.
Black Lagoon's dub is the only anime I would even consider putting in the same category in terms of dialogue as these various things.
Put Pokemon on the list too now.
Cowboy Bebop can try, but Black Lagoon does it better. Bakano can try, but Black Lagoon does it better.
Bebop and Bakano are both really good too.
The Black Lagoon dub is so brutal and raw and blunt. The performances are great, but they are working with what they've been given. The lines they are given feel natural and feel at home in the setting. It makes sense that Roanapa would lead to the most foul-mouthed anime script in existence.
The cunt
Find me another anime that uses the word cunt, and as a proud Australian, I'll give you a
It's time to go teach this fucking cunt the meaning of pain.
That was cringe.
The swearing in this show absolutely makes...
Proud Australian. Oh no, that was supposed to be sarcastic, but even sarcastically saying it is cringe.
Makes a difference, because it's something anime always censors and dubs, but Black Lagoon fully leans into it, and it definitely makes the dialogue feel more natural, it makes it funnier, and it makes it more quotable. I point this out all the time, but the dismissive fuck you Revy throws back at Rock in the submarine gives me euphoria on each listen. It's perfect, and it perfectly...
It still is good, that scene I have watched recently.
encapsulates the point I'm trying to make here. And again, the dialogue is what everything we are about to get into stands on. All the deep character-related stuff
It's
is
the magic that it stands on.
paltry to me if they are unnatural in the way they portray it, because if there's one thing that anime certainly isn't, it's subtle. Naruto
Again. No!
explains exactly how he did what he just did because anime largely thinks its audience are morons. Black Lagoon does not hold your hand.
Good point.
The dialogue does not tell you what's going on, but it does portray what is going on. And that's what
That's a good
we
line.
call subtlety. So now
That
let's
was not a good follow-up line.
explain why all these layers make Rock and Revy the best relationship in anime. Rock and Revy are almost
Again with the intro of the music, because I'm kind of trying to show off how much I like this song. It starts, but Berserk music and a Black Lagoon video, never a better connection. Fuck me.
never honest with each other. In fact, it's
I think this is where it starts to get good, Chad, I promise.
relationship in anime. Rock and Revy are almost never honest with each other. In fact, it's impossible for them to be honest with each other because they can't even be honest with themselves. There are only a few things certain about their relationship. They definitely care about each other and they definitely tread on each other. That's almost all that's certain between the two of them. And this is perfect because that's what people do. In fact, they take it even a step further because they constantly act in contradiction to what they actually want. To set up the entirety of this video, all I had to do was explore two questions. What does Revy want, and what does Rock want? The answers to these questions are incredibly complex, and I'm not even sure the characters could answer the questions themselves if they were asked, but I definitely think they can answer it about the other person.
I still really like that line. The last minute has been good. They think they can answer it about each other. They think they can answer it about each other. It's real cute.
But I definitely think they can answer it about the other person. Particularly Revy to Rock. Revy sees Rock as the epitome of a normal man with a normal life and both admires him and hates him for this. She takes advantage of this and on the exterior acts like she wants him to change, only for him to change and then for her heart to break because of it. By the end of Roberta's Blood Trail, Rock is no longer a normal man with a normal life, and Revy breaks when she is confronted with this truth through his behaviour in those OVAs. She even tries to kill him for the first time since episode 7 in the iconic cigarette kiss scene. Even before that, with the equally iconic submarine scene, she wanted to kill him for judging her from his normie perspective. She couldn't handle being questioned and couldn't stand that someone who didn't know what it was like to be born into this thing would judge her and morally chastise her for earning money. And then when Rock finally comes over to her side and acts like her, the way she wanted him to do back in episode 7 in Roberta's Blood Trail with his manipulation of everybody, including her, she wants to kill him again. He stood opposite of her and she wanted to kill him. He stood parallel to her and she wanted to kill him. And this is all because Revy is a hypocrite. She berated him the entire show, calling him a pussy and saying that he wasn't cut out for this thing, but then he showed her that he was.
Why did I say pussy like a pussy? That was weird.
And she hated him for that as well. This happened because of this thing, but then he showed her that he was, and she hated him for that as well. This happened because Revy doesn't know what she wants. She gives off different signals and never
Didn't I
actually
say I liked using this track in a other video? It is a really good fucking background, like sad, let's talk about some subtextual shit right now track. Berserk movie's OST might be better than the show.
Because Revy doesn't know what she wants. She gives off different signals and never actually explains what she wants from Rock.
God, the Fabiola stuff is so good. It better still be good.
And even if she could, I don't think she would tell him because that's not how humans work. Does she like...
God, I remember when I first watched Black Lagoon, I was so young that Fabiola was older than me. That's insane.
Fabiola
That's
said,
like 10
I don't
years
think
ago
she
now.
would tell him because that's not how humans work.
Unironically closer to 10 years ago than 5 years ago.
Does she like
We're nearly
Fabiola
20, chat.
said in Roberta's Blood Trail?
We're gonna die soon. Let's shut
Because
the
that's
fuck up
not
for a
how
second.
humans work. Does she, like Fabiola said in Roberta's Blood Trail, view Rock as her knight in shining armor? Does she want Rock to remain a morally virtuous, normal person in the hopes that he can one day save her from the only life she's ever known in Roanope, stealing and killing? Is this why she gets so angry and has such an existential crisis at the end of Roberta's Blood Trail when it looks like Rock is going to lose himself to the city and to the game? Is this why she pleads with him to look at her as Yukio commits suicide in the most brutal way possible by impaling herself? I think this is what Revi wants, which funnily enough makes Revi a completely fucked up damsel in distress. She sees Rock as an out and a representation of a better life, and the more she and the city chip away at that, the more scared she gets. But what's even more interesting from Revi's perspective is that she doesn't notice Rock is changing throughout the show. She blinds herself and only sees what she wants to see in Rock. Even by the time we get to Japan, and even in Roberta's blood trail, she's still repeating the stupid talking point that he doesn't belong in this thing. The twins going to Japan and everything that happens there, and then the events of Roberta's blood trail, have all had a massive effect on Rock. He's obviously changed since the beginning of the story when he was a simple, morally virtuous Japanese man. Fabiola and Roberta's blood trail serves as a brutal reality check to Revi in this regard, because she's the one who finally makes her see Rock for who he truly is. The conceit of this series, the sales line for this series, would seem to be what happens when a morally virtuous Japanese man is thrust into the underworld and forced to confront it, with the key dynamic being his relationship with this girl who represents all the underworld has to offer. It's supposed to be the interesting interactions of these two polar opposites interacting, but what's truly brilliant about all of this is that by the time Roberta's blood trail comes around, we realize that the point of this series was actually to show that the normal Japanese man, this relatable main character, the representation of you in the narrative, is actually exactly the same as this girl, this representation of the underworld. Because everyone is capable of becoming like Revi, as Rock does in Roberta's blood trail. Fabiola serves as the holy messenger for Revi and the audience. She's the wake-up slap that Revi needed. Fabiola in this scene tells Revi that this person she always talks about, this person that doesn't belong in this thing, the person who isn't cut out for it, she's never met, because the Rock she's always known in her short experience in Roanoke absolutely belongs here. He's indistinguishable to her from the rest of the filth in the city. It's also entirely possible that that person Revi had projected onto Rock never existed to begin with. Because
More Berserk music in the background.
the point is,
All been good for... Get rid of the first 4.5 minutes of this video and it's all been pretty fucking good.
that the filth of Roanoke is in every person. Just only some have to bring it
There's
out of
awkward phrasing and shit, but it's okay.
themselves to survive, and Roanoke is a place that brings this side out of people. Fabiola then ends the scene making the analogy that Revi wants Rock to be her knight in shining armor, and because of all this subtext, I think she's absolutely right. Revi literally has an existential breakdown after this conversation that leads her into the mindset of wanting to kill Rock again. The value she secretly thought Rock had is gone, and she's extremely angry in that moment, and then she goes to talk to Rock and he's a zombie. He's so steadfast in his ploy at this point that even though the person he's perhaps closest to in the entire world is sitting there having just been broken and gone through a retroactive depression where she relived getting raped as a child, he stands there emotionless and unsupportive. The person Revi wanted him to be is gone in that moment, and it's almost all her fault, because she berated him the entire time for being the person she always wanted him to be. Because that's another very important layer to all of this. Revi never says anything even approaching what she actually means, or what she actually wants from Rock. So it's hard to blame Rock for not seeing it. And here's the thing, Revi is a total tsundere. She's only mean to him because she likes him and doesn't know how to properly communicate with him, because that's how humans are. By the way, that does also make Revi the best tsundere in anime as well, if we're keeping score here. Sorry, Asuka.
Firstly, wrong. Secondly, we were going so good for 4 minutes and now there's a weird best tsundere ever line.
Portray what Rock and Revi's relationship is like to the people who may still be struggling to understand me here. Let me give a totally not personal analogy that puts everything into perspective. Let's say a young boy likes a young girl and they are in school together. They sit next to each other, let's say. Now, the young boy can't just come out and say that he likes the young girl because he doesn't have confidence in the fact that she likes him back or wants the same thing that he does. If she asks and she doesn't, then the game is lost forever. So it's best to try another approach.
Another weird audio switch in the background.
Decides to talk to her, but how they communicate
Back to a song from the beginning.
is almost
Luckily, it's a good song.
contradictory to the young boy's goal. They get to talking, but the young boy is a little nervous, so he alleviates this with comedy and other chemistry building things. What eventuates from their relationship is the young boy constantly and jokingly making fun of the young girl because it's funny and it makes both of them laugh, and it's clearly playful between the two of them. It's the whole he only picks on you because he likes you shtick. That's what their relationship is built on, and it's fun, and now they always have something to talk about and it's easy to talk to each other because they have built this chemistry. But then a problem arises. The young boy still likes the young girl, probably even more now that there's more of a connection there. But because their relationship is built on sarcasm to a degree and a whole lot of making fun of each other, the young boy might actually find himself further away from his original goal. How is he going to get serious all of a sudden and tell the young girl how he feels, when it's easier to just make her laugh and put off the serious part? He's never even hinted towards his true motivations, and if he reveals them, it could confuse the young girl, because nothing he's ever said has indicated that he likes her. If he tells her and their relationship is built on him making fun of her constantly, how can he then reveal that she was actually perfect the entire time and he just wanted her attention? He thought getting her attention would get him closer to his overall goal, at least closer than not talking to her at all. Ultimately, even though the young boy started all of this in order to express that he liked the young girl, he can now never come out and say it because it's impossible to read it from the other side. If he comes out and tells her, then everything they've built will either pay off or everything will be ruined. And now there's even more pressure than there was originally on what the response would be, if he was honest. It's possible that the young girl might be under the assumption that the young boy hates her. Does he only talk to her to make fun of her? She's got to ask herself these questions. And how could she possibly know that he was just nervous the entire time, and this dynamic was just the easiest way to talk to her? It's a hard situation all round, and if you haven't caught on yet, Revy is the young boy in this
It's personally cringe. It's also like a perfect one-to-one analogy for what's going on in the show. And I don't even think this was intentional, but like the slow pan in on Revy specifically as Rock goes out of the background, realizing that Revy is the boy in the analogy, is pretty fucking clever. I honestly expected it to be a lot more cringe than that.
It's a hard situation all round, and if you haven't caught on yet, Revy is the young boy in this example. Instead of Revy liking the young girl, she wants the young girl, or Rock in the example, to save her from her lifelong tragedy, but she can never
EMT in the background.
admit it because of who she is and how she got into this mess. Could you ever see Revy admitting this to Rock? It seems antithetical to everything she is, but the evidence is very clear. This is what Revy wants, and Fabiola is the only person that's had the balls to point this out. Revy will likely never admit this, but it is
because Fabiola's the same way, just in a more sarcastic manner.
It's her true motivation.
I don't know if I mentioned that or I just realized that.
Even if she acts in a completely contradictory manner, just as the young boy acts in a contradictory manner towards the young girl. And this naturally creates some confusion in Rock. But this is what makes their dynamic so unbearably brilliant. There are so many layers here to analyze, and we haven't even begun to talk about anything from Rock's perspective yet. The conceit of Rock as a character is that he is the normal, morally virtuous man that is thrown into the underworld and has to deal with what he finds there. We briefly went over this already. This leads down many winding roads, from the Nazis and the confrontation with Revy in the submarine, to the massive blow-up in the cigarette kiss scene in episode 7, to the terrorist group kidnapping, to everything that happens with the twins, then with Yukio, and by the time we get to Roberta's blood trail, Rock is completely at wit's end, and that's when we see the most change in him. But that change is facilitated in every incremental arc we just went over that slowly chips away at his humanity. But here's the thing, quote-unquote normal Rock is a lie. He's truly selfish and prideful in his own way, and is exactly like Revy. Again, we sort of went over this earlier, but I want to highlight here how selfish and prideful Rock is, outside of the fact that it brilliantly makes him exactly the same as Revy. This is most on display when he feels the need to reiterate his fucking stupid point to Yukio before she kills himself. He ignores the tragedy of the act and watches as she impales herself with Genji's samurai sword. But the most brilliant and frustrating thing about Rock throughout this whole arc is that he's massively hypocritical here, because the way he sees Yukio is exactly the same way that Revy sees him, and he hates the way Revy sees him, yet he does the exact same thing to Yukio.
I like the switch here to Rock's perspective.
Yukio and Genji may be the most blatant Rock and Revy parallels, though nearly every antagonist and every minor character is a direct parallel to one of the two of them. It's something that makes Rock and Revy so special. Think about it, Kageyama is what Rock would have become if he had remained in Japan and lived a normal life. He would have had a nice family, a dog, and been thoroughly unfulfilled with his repetitive day-to-day life. Takanaka, one of the leaders of the terrorist organization, is an example of what Rock could have turned into if he went all the way with this thing. Rock's smart enough and has enough guts to have radical men follow him. Takanaka serves as an underrated character in the series and a mirror to how Rock could have ended up if he applied himself fully to the underworld. Kageyama is the version of Rock that went all the way this way, and Takanaka is the version of Rock that went all the way this way. And as Rock usually does, he ends up in the twilight between these two opposites. But as Black Lagoon likes to point out, the difference between all the people on this graph is nearly non-existent.
Jeff Buckley in the background?
Rock fits in Roanoke. Anyone can as long as they have a little bit of luck. Every character we meet in the entire series is either tempted by the city or is outright already in its clutches. And the next parallel, and maybe the most powerful parallel to Rock, Yukio, presents this dichotomy perfectly. Let's get back to what I was talking about before and tie
It's
Revy
too low
back
for me to realize if it is. Also, the footage is going
into
backwards.
all of this. Rock is a hypocrite because he treats Yukio the same way Revy treats him. Revy constantly says that Rock isn't cut out
Revy looks real pretty in this fucking panel.
for the type of work they partake in.
Panel? This frame.
She doesn't really mean it
Now
like
she
she's
looks
already gone
psychotic.
over, but Rock doesn't know this and hates that she constantly says this. Especially when she continues to do it even way after it's self-evident that he has the potential to be better at this thing than she even is. Revy is a soldier, not a thinker. She couldn't lead
It is a fucking Buckley's.
crime family in the city, but Rock could, with patience and a little push. He directly challenges Balalaika and Chang throughout the show,
The music is too fucking low, though. We're going flat. I think we'll make it, though.
so it makes sense for him to hate it every time Revy says something like this. But he does the exact same thing to Yukio, and it's beautifully hypocritical. Rock babies Yukio. He tries to protect her when she doesn't want protecting. Maybe she needed it, but she didn't ask for it, and it's not Rock's place to save her. And as Yukio perfectly points out in that scene when they are alone together in the bowling alley, Rock doesn't actually want to save her because he likes her, even if the show likes to tease the romantic angle between the two of them. He wants to save her because
Now the
she
music's too
represents the
loud.
last remnants of normality Rock has. And remember, this is all post-twins, so Rock doesn't exactly have much normality left. In Rock's mind, she's a representation of normal, peaceful, simple life in Japan. Yukio is presented as the maybe wife Rock could have had if he remained in Japan. The show, as I already mentioned, plays into the romance angle with them initially. But the simple Japanese housewife, the innocent girl untouched by the underworld, is not who Yukio is. It's not who she wanted to be, but Rock thinks he understands Yukio better than Yukio does, just like Revy thinks she knows who Rock is better than Rock does. It's a massive fucked up triangle of projection and manipulation and self-pity and hypocrisy, and it's so fucking interesting to watch. And Black Lagoon shines in what I've termed the explosion of emotion scenes. That's exactly what the cigarette kiss scene is, that's exactly what the scene with the standoff with Balalaika is, and that's exactly what the scene in the bowling alley with Rock and Yukio is. It's Yukio calling Rock out on his bullshit hypocrisy, and the moment she tells him that she hates him is so satisfying to me because in that moment I hate Rock too, and it's such a human mistake for him to make. How could someone be so laughably unself-aware to not realize that exactly the way he feels towards Yukio is the way Revy feels towards him? To Rock, Yukio represents a possible love interest in a normal life setting, and all the simple draws that come along with that. And to Revy, Rock represents this same idea. But none of them ever admit any of this. And it just sits in the subtext perfectly marinating for you to think about forever. And then that final scene where Rock has to get his hypocritical point out before Yukio kills herself is perfect. The piece of shit can't resist. He has to try and convince Yukio that he was right all along before she impales herself with a fucking samurai sword. And it's all for his pride. It's all to be proven right. Yukio dies and Rock thinks it validates everything he told her. She wasn't cut out for Roanoke, she never reached Roanoke, and in this arc he isn't forced to confront his hypocrisy. Then in Roberta's Blood Trail we get presented with Fabiola and Garcia, another parallel couple to Rock and Revy.
The fucking guitar thing is going to build up to me not having a cool line.
They are a pairing
gonna
similar to Rock and
filter
Revy
out.
on the surface, but the arc demonstrates
Bad musical choice.
how different the two pairings really are. It does this by making our main characters look like monsters in the faces of these children. Rock does ultimately save them both from going down the same path as he and Revy did, but it's only a byproduct of his ongoing personal feud with Chang. He may save everybody at the end of Roberta's Blood Trail, but his main motivation was saying fuck you to Chang because Chang attacked his pride. Something Chang only did, funnily enough, because Eda, posing as a CIA agent, attacked his pride because wouldn't you know Chang is another Rock parallel. There's a reason they look nearly identical. Rock didn't save everyone for the moral victory even though he may lie to himself and say that he did. He did it in a foolish attempt to prove Chang wrong. Rock's obsession with saving people that starts with Revy and moves on to Garcia the first time they meet, then on to the twins, then to Yukio, then back to Garcia and Fabiola is born because he couldn't save Revy. Which is funnily enough what Revy actually wanted. Rock just didn't know enough about Revy when he tried originally, and Revy didn't realize what he was trying to do at the time. Rock tried helping Revy by talking to her and trying to understand her, which naturally led him to questioning her morally ambiguous actions with his standard moral virtue. Revy saw this as someone privileged, judging her from the outside, not understanding her struggle and how she got into this mess, which really pissed her off. See example 101, the submarine scene. That's where Rock questioned Revy for grave robbing the Nazi soldiers, and she gives that speech I love so much. After that, she goes into a Nazi killing trance and even nearly kills Dutch. Rock hated feeling helpless in that situation, and after he patches things up with Revy after their massive argument in episode 7 that leads to the cigarette kiss, not the scene but the actual kiss, he tries to overcome his guilt of not being able to save Revy by trying to save Garcia and the twins and Yukio, and he fails a few times and it breaks him, but eventually at the end of Roberta's blood trail he wins. He somehow saved Roberta, who murdered tons of American agents, the American agents themselves, and Garcia and Fabiola. But the feeling doesn't resonate with Rock, it doesn't fulfill him, and he can't figure out why, even up to the post-credits scene in the final episode. But he feels unfulfilled because at some point in the series, likely after the twins and in Japan, it stopped being about saving people for Rock and started being a pride dick measuring contest with Balalaika and Chang for Rock to flex his abilities. As each encounter chipped away at Rock, he lost sight of his original goal, saving Revy, and pursued saving other people as a substitute, only to lose sight of his goal along the way, just like Revy did. She was drawn to Rock because he represented someone who could save her, but as the series progressed, he confronted her with her humanity, which made her angry, and she slowly lost sight of the goal of using Rock to get out, and the only thing she has left of that original goal is that line she keeps repeating about him not belonging here, because subconsciously, it's her telling herself that he's still her only hope. They both progressively lose themselves and lose their original motivations of saving and wanting to be saved. But that's where it all perfectly comes full circle with both of these two. They actually did want the same thing the entire time. The young girl actually did like the young guy. They didn't have to do this dance, but tragically, just like with the young girl and the young boy, Rock and Revy may never actually admit this to each other. And what we are left with at the end of this series is almost a half step. The last scene we get of the show is a post-credit scene after the final episode of the OVAs, in which Revy is seemingly calmed down from nearly killing Rock earlier, and they have a moment where they both shoot using gun hands into the city, looking out from the ship in the dead of night. Symbolically, in this moment, they agree that whatever happens next, they'll do it together, because ultimately they may not know what the other thinks of them, but they both know themselves that they care about each other, and that they will both feel comfortable facing whatever comes next together, rather than apart. And that's basically the argument for them being the best relationship in anime right there. But there is more. If you want to add another entire layer of bullshit to think about, which I didn't even discuss in the video, you could ask the question, is their relationship platonic or romantic? Does running away together entail a romantic relationship? Probably, but not definitely. There's just so much to think about regarding these two before you even get to the romantic or platonic discussion. But most importantly, guys, just remember that Black Lagoon is just a dumb action show with nothing to say. Isn't the anime community disgusting? And I refuse to stop until I've done with Black Lagoon what best I ever did with Gurren Lagann. Why? All this is why this is the best relationship in anime. Better than Spike and Faye, better written than whatever Asuka and Shinji had going on. Better
I know about that one, Chief.
Misato and Kaji, better than Okabe and Kurisu, better than Isaac and Miria, better than Goku and Chi-Chi, Vegeta and Bulma, Kushina and Minato, better than Thorfinn and Gudrid, and better than Guts and Cass. Maybe we won't go that far, but I would consider it. But only the manga version of Guts and Casca, so the anime thing still stands.
That almost implies that it's only better than the manga one, but then the next line clarifies.
That's how much I love this pairing. It's Guts and Casca levels in my opinion, and I have whole videos talking about that relationship as well. But ultimately, none of this storytelling really matters, not to me, because the dialogue is so good. I wouldn't have thought about this show and about this
I don't know why I undercut the whole video by saying that.
Pairing as much as I have, or written about this show and this pairing as much as I have, without first being hooked by the great dialogue. Because as a
video full circle, I guess.
I hope I've made abundantly clear, everything in this show stands stands on the shoulders of the truly medium-defying dialogue. And to me, it's hilariously ironic that anime's greatest export, in my opinion, is only anime's greatest export for an element that seemingly is antithetical to it being anime. But with all that being said, if you enjoyed the video and want to see more, the Patreon is the way to go. If you patron and specifically outline that you want more Black Lagoon
brings it back full circle with the music
content,
too.
it's far more likely for it to get made. Plus $5 and up patrons get an extra video a month. Maybe.
So I've never been so embarrassed by a video and still like the video
Could
so
be
much
a Black Lagoon video.
as that
Who
one.
knows? But support links in the description below.
Give me that ad money. Should let all 35 seconds go through. The middle part is so fucking good. It's probably the second best thing I've ever written besides this fucking shit on our screen right here. It's the best point I've ever made, I think. The most detailed point I've ever made that was good. Because that Last of Us video hasn't been made yet. But goddamn, is there some stupid shit in this fucking video. God damn it. I didn't know the first 4 minutes were so bad. They were like real bad. The last bit at the end is bad. Weirdly shoehorning me talking about how they're better than a bunch of other relationships. That was probably all of the anime relationships I could name. The conceit of the video is clickbait, and if it's self-aware clickbait, it's okay. Which it is now, but I don't know if it was at the time. Plus they called it an argument at the end, which I would never do now. Yikes. So, I guess I'm happy that the bulk of the video, that 18 minutes out of the 24 minutes are about to have 200,000 views, but the first 4 minutes and the... God damn it. Before this video hits 200,000 views, let me first say that the first 4 minutes or so are absolutely atrocious. The rest of the video is pretty cool, though. That's my retraction. It needs to be said. Hold on, I gotta pin it too. I probably should have made that a new comment because now there's a bunch of comments responding to it. Too late now. Let me scroll up and see if chat had a lot to say. I don't think they did. Laptop is on green, on yellow right now, not red. Where were we up to? Fuck me. Where are we going? God damn it. Fuck me. You idiots talked a shit ton about this. Isn't the Naruto anime trash, though? Naruto anime is poggers, as we've gone through a bunch. I've never read the manga, and I like Naruto, so... I'm gonna have to turn off the notifications. Yeah, we already talked about 4 or 5 in a scale of 0 to 5, right? This is the most Reddit top 5 anime. Wait, how have you not seen Breaking Bad? It's right up your alley. Girth was a weird choice of words. Title this video, I hate Black Lagoon now. Black Lagoon hater reacts. When did you stop cooming for dialogue? Play it at 1.5 speed, idiot. No, I don't want to do that. These videos were short enough. In before, well, I either have to play it at 1 or 2 times speed. Everything was good to me. I'm proven right once again. It's weird that you don't bring up manga here when you talk about dialogue. Most like you think dialogue means acting. Yeah, well, we talked about that. Cringe, yep. The Ghost Stories dub is still the best. Like, what do you mean when you say everything was good to me? Like, were you already able to everything an overall perspective, or just thought about that good was? I have no idea what this is talking about. It's an early sign of Kyle reasoning himself into liking anything. Yes, you mentioned that once, Minty. I have to let this play because the laptop's going for about 3 minutes left, still pausing. Is this the video where Kyle talks about his failed relationship? It very much is. Wait, Kyle talked about a failed relationship? Why did I know Anne would say that? I remember he brings up something vaguely, and it all comes up in a real weird and pointless in the video. Well, I don't think it was pointless at all. Well, it's a more subtle than in the Mikasa Eren video. Actually, no, it's more relevant. I think you think that I think about what they think. Think, Mark, think. Because I figured out my logical progressions. Well, I got to screw through this. Thoughts on Shape saying he prefers 97 over the manga? Absolutely pathetic. Laptop going flat. Anyway, I got to eat by. Goes back 10 seconds every pause. Actually, it was 5 seconds because I wasn't using J and L. I was using the left and right thing. Miller leaving. Rock over Walter White. Give me what? You gonna give me something? Come on. I hope the laptop goes flat before the vid finishes to teach Kyle a lesson. It is flashing. I'll read the rest of chat in a second. For the YouTube audience, that was it. We reviewed all of these videos. The Rock and Revy one had the best stuff, but also the cringiest stuff. The rest of it was okay. We're critical. We got to end the video and we got to end stream. So for the YouTube audience, support links in the description below. I hope there'll be more content on the second channel real soon. Goodbye. Wait, no, support links in the description below. Thanks.